Okay, well, it's 1 minute after 11. Why don't we go ahead and get the webcast started? I really hoped we had a few more people show up, but I'm very happy for the people that have. I see a lot of familiar names on here. So happy Friday. I'm looking forward to a weekend. Hopefully, warm weather, but unfortunately, it's going to be rainy weather. So today we're here to talk about Tyler Deploy and future quarterly releases and how your district is responsible for managing those going forward. And today, of course, it's going to be myself speaking. I'm Kristen Lambert. You're probably familiar with me, unfortunately. I've been doing this for a while. I'm the team lead and technical analyst for the enterprise ERP system, commonly referred to as Munis by us. You'll hear both um, ERP, Enterprise ERP, Munis used interchangeably. Have Kim York, who's on my team here helping with the webcast, Kathy Pelletier, who's our vendor partner that we work with closely. And then we are so fortunate today to have a client experience manager. Trescott Haugen is joining us today, and he's going to do a live demo and some information at the end. You may have seen Trescott at one of our CASBO conferences, so very happy to partner with him. And let's get started here. The agenda today, we'll be talking about upgrades going forward, a little bit about a Tyler Deploy overview, quarterly releases and the lifecycle policy, upgrade steps, resources available to you, and also we'll do a Tyler Deploy demo. So what has changed is what I've alluded to. You all are now overseeing when to install the quarterly releases. So now that Tyler Deploy is available, it gives us much more power and tools to schedule when we want to do these upgrades. In the past, there's a pretty big project here at KDE and working with you all districts on scheduling these because they'd have to be done during business hours. And there be maybe only so many that could be scheduled a day. So that has changed. Now that we finally reached this version 2021, we're on a quarterly cadence cycle for upgrades. And with Tyler Deploy, you can do these upgrades after hours. They can be done on weekends. And again, they're done via Tyler Deploy. The old MIU is long gone. We no longer use that. So what's changed for our team now is more we're going to be monitoring the upgrade status via reports from Tyler, and also reaching out to you if we've noticed that you haven't taken a quarterly update in a while and you're approaching retirement of the version you're using. So we'll be working with you and possibly reaching out to CIOs to make them aware as well, because that is a concern running software that is close to retirement. So Tyler Deploy, we've talked about it and used that word a lot. What is it? It's a tool to manage deployment of various upgrades and updates for all Tyler products. So not just Enterprise ERP or Munis, it's also Tyler Hub and maybe Content Manager, things like that that you may own that work with your ERP system. Tyler doesn't take the responsibility for keeping that system up to date with those hot fixes and patches and quarterly releases, but gives you the power to manage when you want to do that using Tyler Deploy. And I had to throw a little plug in here for Microsoft AI. I had a little bit of fun and made that picture. So if nobody's tried AI yet, it's fun to do. So that was really my first experience needing and having to use it. So unfortunately, back to the other presentation, I'd like to talk about AI, but let's talk about Tyler Deploy. Um, Also, I want to point out Tyler Deploy does have a dedicated analyst that monitors those installs. So if there's any issues that happen overnight, they can take care of that first thing in the morning when they get in. When I say first thing in the morning, they get in very early, before most people have started working. So some of the key benefits to Tyler Deploy, it's a unified deployment system for all the Tyler products. So you may have ERP Hub, Tyler Content Manager, some other Tyler products. It's all done via Tyler Deploy. So you have that same familiar experience. It's accessed via a browser and not like a program on your computer, which the old MIU used to be. It's a friendly, easy to use interface. You should be able to figure it out yourself by browsing around. It's one-stop access to getting your updates. You can also view the release notes via Tyler Deploy. You control the timing of updates on when you receive those quarterly updates. Also, you control your automatic updates via Tyler Deploy, and you are in control of scheduling those. And another thing to note is updates on Tyler Deploy are cumulative. So if you haven't updated or had any automatic updates for several weeks, every update up until that day when you do your update will be applied. So they're cumulative, they all roll together. Accessing Deploy is done via the URL. After this presentation is over, I will send out the slide deck, and those hyperlinks should work in the slide deck. So Tyler Deploy's access via tylerdeploy.com. It does use your Tyler Community logon. There is a Tyler Community page you can access and request access if you don't already have it to Tyler Deploy Community. And if you don't have access to Tyler Deploy, you would create a case with SaaS support to request access, and you'll receive an email to confirm when access has been granted. Tyler Deploy does require multi-factor authentication, so you'll need to use like your Google Authenticator app, Microsoft Authenticator app to get into the portion of Tyler Deploy where you can schedule those upgrades and apply automatic fixes. So questions, SaaS support, they can help you get set up for that if you don't already have access to Tyler Deploy. So I get this question all the time. Well, I have automatic updates already set up, so I don't need to worry about this, right? No, automatic updates are different. Automatic updates are used for patching, those hot fixes. When we have a state report update that's been pushed out, that is what an automatic update is for. There's also Tyler Hub, it has updates. So if you don't have automatic updates set up for a Tyler Hub or your other Tyler products, you want to double check that and how you have our automatic updates scheduled. Each environment should have its own schedule. And one thing I've noticed is some districts have their live environment set to sync from their test environment. That is fine, and you can continue to do that, but there's a problem if your production environment is a different release from your test environment. So those districts that had version 2019 still going on, but their test environment was upgraded last August to version 2021, if they had sync set, their production environment was not receiving releases because they were on different different releases. They can't, 2019 and 2021 is not the same Munis release. So syncing does not work. You'd want to, I suggest latest, unless you're a district that actually verifies updates in your test environment before installing those automatic updates in your production environment. So that's something to check on in Tyler Deploy under your automatic updates and how you have those set up. Another thing you may want to think about doing is setting a spreadsheet up so you can track and schedule your updates for the different Tyler products, because you want to avoid overlapping scheduling for the same day, things like that. I have a spreadsheet set up when I set mine up, and it's pretty easy to do. If you're not configured to receive Tyler Deploy notifications via email, you do want to go into your automatic updates in Tyler Deploy and make sure things are still running and that you're up to date. If you have not aren't getting those email notifications, those are easily set up. You just submit a support case to TSM SaaS support, and they can set you up for notifications. Now, the last time I heard, there's only 2 people per client can have those notifications at your district. But if you want to, here's a little hint, you want to have multiple people receive those notifications. People come and go, but you want to make sure that these Tyler Deploy is still running and those automatic updates are being applied. You can have your IT department, IT staff set up a distribution list for Tyler Deploy notifications. It could be like Tyler Deploy at abcschooldistrict.ky.us schools. I'm not sure how your email address is set up. I forget. I apologize. But if you had that distribution list set up, that could be sent to multiple people at your district so they all would receive that notification. And that would be the email address that you would supply to TSM SaaS support so you receive those notifications. So if you're not getting notifications, make sure you're set up to receive them. You'd want that because there could be a possible failure with the update, and in that you'd want to notify TSM SaaS support. But as I mentioned earlier, as I'm rambling, they do have a dedicated support analyst that does look at that very early in the morning, so that should be fixed before you even get in. Okay, so let's circle back and talk about quarterly releases, the whole reason why we're here. A quarter release is a mini upgrade. So with version 2021, these changes are going to be very minor if noticeable at all. It's not going to be like jumping from 11.3 to version 2019 or 2019 to version 2021. We're still using version 2021. It's just a small incremental change. It's a quarterly release. It is an upgrade though, and it's not processed via those automatic updates that I was talking about earlier. So you actually do need to go into Tyler Deploy and manage this and schedule the upgrade, or you can install the upgrade on demand in your non-prod environments. So this doesn't apply to just ERP, but also Tyler Hub, which Tyler Hub's, the landing page used to access Munis, or any other products such as Tyler Deploy. Let me take a breather here too. If you have any questions during this presentation, you can jump on. There is a chat feature available. Feel free to add any questions there and we'll answer them through the webcast and at the end. So the next thing I want to talk about is the version release naming convention. So the first three numbers, the year, indicates the EERP version you are running. The next is the quarterly release. So in this example, I have 2021.11.0.115. 2021 is the ERP version, and we'll be on version 2021 for some time. The 11 is the quarterly release. Most districts in Kentucky are on .10. And the last three digits indicate the hot fix or bundle of MUNs that have been applied to your environment. So each day, or all the MUNs are compiled and included in, oftentimes it's called a patch or a hot fix. You can't install an individual MUN. So our team will periodically send out a notice and say an update has been made available for a Kentucky state specific program. It has this individual MUN number. You cannot install the individual MUN. The entire patch of all those bundled MUNs must be installed at the same time. They are cumulative. And again, as if I haven't said it enough, those quarterly releases are not installed via automatic updates. You do have to do the quarterly release difference. So when you're ready to go from 2021.10 to 2021.12, you will need to access Tyler Deploy and set that up. So that brings up the question, so how long is a quarterly release good for? You're on 2021.10. That's good for 15 months. That was made available in August, so it retires in November. Full technical support is available in those 15 months. All priority 1 and 2 defects are eligible to be corrected. There's a link to the lifecycle policy there, so you can access that via the slide deck once it's distributed. As mentioned, most districts are using 2021.10 at this time. And I do want to throw out there, certain updates to Kentucky-specific programs may be only introduced in the latest quarterly release. These are for some minor defects, possibly. I can't say, there's no definitive answer on this. For an example, there was a KY Sears retirement maintenance browse display issue in .10. So if you're going to that program now and select browse, you'll see some dates on there that say like 1899, and it's just a display issue. That was fixed in 2021.11. So people in 2021.10 didn't see that change, but when you upgrade, you will see that has been fixed in a future release. So a screenshot, it also includes a link, the hyperlink up in the title, gets you access to the lifecycle page on Tyler Community. So I talked about most districts are in 2021.10. Here we go. That retires in 2024 of this year, November. So you'll need to upgrade before then, or else you won't be able to do your W-2s. The last W-2 1099 release was 2023. The release that's available now is version 2012. It became available this February. If you suggested to go ahead and get that installed in your test environment when those quarterly releases come out, so you can start taking a look at that and then planning on upgrading your production environment when it fits in your schedule. Some things to consider about upgrading. Do you want to take a little step or do you want to take a big step? So 2010 to 2012, I'm sorry, I keep calling 2012, .10 to .12. That's really a small step. If you wait until November, you're going to be taking a huge leap to move forward. Don't wait that long. These should be minor incremental changes. You should, though, update your test environment. It's recommended to install that as soon as those become available. And give it a look, decide when's the best time to upgrade your environment in production. It's recommended not to have a payroll open. That's always been the case when you do an upgrade, and just don't wait. If you're not sure what version of Munis you're using, there's a couple ways to go about doing that. From Tyler Hub, you can select the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of that page. Select Tyler About, and this little screen will pop up. You may need to refresh it. It gives you information on your enterprise ERP release. It'll give you your hub version. If you have Tyler Forms, it'll tell you what version you have there. So that's one way to find out what release you're on. If you have access to Tyler Deploy, it will also give you this information on the overview menu. You'll see, and Trescott is going to join us in a bit and show us a live demo of Tyler Deploy, but you have 3 columns here: prod, train, and test. If it's green, that means it's up to date and you're good. If the text is black, it means the build is not up to date. There may be a newer build, a newer bundle of MUNs available to you. And then the orange here indicates that this environment is an old retired version. It's a caution. Hello, you need to really look at this because you're running an old version of Munis that was nearing retirement. So let's talk about the Munis release information. Tyler compiles all the information on the releases, the MUNs. There are several places you can look at that information before you upgrade. The release notes can be found using these hyperlinks in the presentation. There's release notes and also information about major enhancements. Now that we're on a quarterly cadence on these releases, those major enhancements are maybe just 1 or 2 things. So it's not like you're taking a huge leap forward, jumping from 11.3 to 2019. It should be very minor, but it's worthwhile checking those links and seeing what's going on, any changes. You can also look at the release notes via Tyler Deploy directly there. And I talked earlier in the presentation about receiving notifications via email from Tyler Deploy. In that email, there's also an attachment with an Excel spreadsheet, CSV attachment, that lists all the MUNs that were installed in that patch. A couple of screenshots here for reference later, how to get to the release notes. Trescott is going to show us how to do this in a bit, but from Tyler Deploy, you don't need access to view Tyler Deploy here. I should say MFA. I believe anybody can get into this by selecting release notes, selecting your product, and it'll be a drop down Munis ERP, and you'll do a minimum to max. Say we're looking at .12, the base release would be 0 to the most current bundle of MUNs, and the screenshot was .39. And you can expand all those or download all the notes to CSV. If you wanted to look at an individual MUN, you also have that option. There's a tab there that says issues. You type in the MUN number. You do have to put in MUN before the number, and you can see down here the release that it was included in. This is a Kentucky specific release. So it was included in dot 353. If you're in dot 350, then you'll know, oh, I need to get up to at least dot 353, so I'm up to date to receive that MUN. So a little tidbit there. Let's talk about the upgrade steps, and really nothing has changed with this. You should be familiar with this, the process. Now you're able to self-upgrade yourself using Tyler Deploy. If you become uncomfortable with doing that, you can open up a case with Tyler support and they can schedule the upgrade for you. I will say though, using Tyler Deploy is rather easy. I've done all the upgrades for my environments myself. It just takes a few clicks and you can do it. Few things though, before you upgrade, you will want to look at this KCS article in on the Tyler website. There's a link directly to it. There's a couple items on there you can ignore. It does mention about you need to be configured for TIDW. If you're not familiar with what TIDW is, that's the piece that was installed last year on how you access Munis, how you authenticate to Munis. It's where you use your email address and password to access Munis. So that can be ignored. We've already done that. Everybody on here should be a SaaS customer. We're not on-prem or self-hosted. We're all hosted in the cloud. And item number 3, validate server prerequisites. That can be ignored. That's already done for the SaaS customers when we use Tyler Deploy. As I mentioned, there's a link to the checklist and the PDF document that I'll be sending out. And Tyler Search, I'm going to give a plug to Tyler Search. I use Tyler Search every day, if not multiple times a day. You know, I don't always know the answer. I use Tyler Search. That's what's a great tool to find out information. You can search for the word self-upgrade. And Trescott is going to give us a demo on that here later in this presentation. High-level overview for doing your upgrade. It's same as it's been in the past. You're going to run your DIA and fix any conditions in your live environment. Now that we're in version 2021, you probably won't see many or any conditions that need to be fixed, but there's possible, you know, it's possible, and you do need to fix those. Everything needs to be green. If it's not fixed, it will cause your deployment to fail. After you've done that in your live environment, you'll want to refresh test via the cloud admin, and then you go ahead and upgrade your test environment. Make sure to upgrade your products in the order listed. There's a slide that follows that shows the different products and how you should schedule those. Do your testing in your test environment, and when you're ready to schedule your production environment, you'd repeat those steps again and schedule your production environment. It's also suggested to back up your production environment via Cloud Admin before your upgrade, but also remember each night that Tyler Disaster Recovery does back up your environment. Also, I said on here, it's just remember you shouldn't have any payrolls open during a production upgrade. These are the same steps repeated, but with a little more detail, talking about the DIA. There are instructions on the KDE Enterprise Munis SharePoint site. There's a link to the site if you don't have it. It's in the version 2021 upgrade folder. Same info, you know, refresh your test environment via Cloud Admin. We're going to have a demo to follow on how to upgrade your test environment. You know, you can schedule your test environment to go overnight, or you can do it during the day. It can be done on demand. Same with your train environment. You just need to make sure no one's using that environment when you do that upgrade. I mentioned, this is in the KCS article, upgrade products in the following order. Omnibar, that is the very top bar on the Munis screen. I've only seen one update on that, so you're probably not going to see much or any, but they do say you should do the Omnibar first, Hub next. If you're a ReadyForms customer, that would come third, Enterprise ERP, TCM, and then Doc Origins last. So if you had any upgrades there, you would want to do that in order. You know, complete any testing in your test environment before you schedule your production and train environment. And then you're going to repeat those steps in your live environment. Of course, before you run the same with when we did version 2021 and when there was a gap in between your test and production environments, you still should run that DIA again in production before doing your upgrade. If there were any issues in production, you'd want to refresh your train environment or run the DIA there and fix it. And then back up your production environment and schedule your upgrade. Again, it can be done overnight. You shouldn't have any business outage to do upgrades going forward. You can schedule it for the weekends. You can schedule your train environment for a different day from your production environment. So you can do test, train, and then prod on a later date. Again, the updating in the proper order still applies here. And if you have any questions, always TSM SaaS support is available to help you. You can open a ticket via the support portal. So now you don't have to listen to me anymore. We're going to let Trescott talk about some of the resources available to you on the Tyler Support website. So Trescott, feel free to hop on in.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for having me join today's webinar. I'm just going to share my screen here. Hopefully everyone can see our support homepage. So we're going to review some support tools, and then we're going to go take a look at the items that Kristen had detailed as far as the Tyler Deploy and some other upgrade resources. So I'd like to start here on tylertech.com. I've already logged in, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on Client Support. And from here, we're going to scroll down and select Enterprise ERP. So this will bring us to the home page of Enterprise ERP Support. This page has a direct link to Tyler Community, where you can manage your online support incidents. Tyler Search can be accessed directly from here. Live support is used only if you're working with a support representative with an open case and they want to connect to your workstation to see what you're experiencing. That's where you would access this. And then we do have the technical support overview document listed here, which I hope everyone is familiar with. This gives you a complete listing of support teams, their hours of when they're open, the days, and direct access to many support managers. So we hope everyone would take a look and get familiarized with this resource here. So next I am going to go into Tyler Community. And we're not going to spend a lot of time in here, but I do want to highlight some important areas I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. First, we're going to go look at some groups. And under the groups section, these are groups that you can join. And I do recommend everyone has access or becomes familiarized with the Enterprise ERP System Administration and Technology group. This group has a blog that's listed on this area here. And here we have hosting services notifications. So the hosting services notifications blog in this group will provide you with an update and future scheduling for hosting services when we do work behind the scenes in our data centers or in the cloud, so to speak. So if you find that you're having issues or that if you're offline for some reason, I would recommend checking here first just to see if perhaps you're trying to access this. If you're accessing outside of normal business hours, you can check here to reference to see if Tyler's actively working on that infrastructure behind the scenes. All right, let's head back on out to that home page for Enterprise ERP. Okay. From here, I'd like to next move on to some additional tools where if we go into more resources here with the little chain link and come on over to online help. This is an area we'd like everyone to be aware with and familiar with. We have the online help area within Tyler Community. And if we scroll down and click on Getting Started with Enterprise ERP, this is where it'll bring you directly to our online help portal. Up top, we have a What's New drop-down, and if we do click on that, we can look at release notes and major enhancements. As Kristen had described earlier, release notes are accessed through Tyler Deploy. So if you clicked here, it will take you to Tyler Deploy and ask you to log in. If you log into major enhancements, click on that, that's where you're going to be able to come in and see those major enhancements between those quarterly releases that Kristen was discussing. So the quarterly releases do come out every quarter. And here we can see the difference between the version 2021.10, which some of you folks are on right now, and 2021.11 has a very small amount of impact or change to your systems. There's some information on system administration. There's a data access group information. But the only change that you will see between 2021.10 and .11 is just the information listed right here. Previously, when we would do upgrades from, for example, 11.3 to 2019 or 2019.1 to a newer version, that was a major release, and there were a lot of changes and areas in the system that you need to get used to and get training. Moving forward with these quarterly releases, there's a lot less to introduce as far as change. So if you think about folks that are on 2021.10 that are preparing to upgrade to 2021.11, you'll first put that in your test environment. And when folks say, well, what do we need to test? We would recommend that you show them this resource here and let them know these are the only changes to expect or impact in conjunction with that update, and then folks can prepare to test appropriately as needed. There are other nice areas in here, such as key concepts and features. It is quite extensive, so we do recommend that folks come in and explore this area and look at these tools to get more familiarized with the system if you would like. All right, I'll go ahead and close out of that area now. I'll go back into Tyler Community. And next, we want to highlight what we call the Upgrade Resource Center. Some of you may be familiarized with this. We're not going to go into every page and every detail, but for clients that would like to have a more formal process to testing, you can follow these best practices here. As we scroll down to the bottom area, there is a link to that release lifecycle policy that Kristen had referenced. So we can go ahead and click on that release lifecycle policy, and here you can see the various versions of Enterprise ERP that have been available previously to the current release, and ones that are coming out in the future. So this is a nice page to get familiarized with as well. Sometimes when you open these, it forces a new tab, which is nice so you don't lose where you were before. Another area I would like to highlight here, again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but we do encourage people to come in and review these steps. We're going to go to the testing area here. And if we come down to Educate and Train section, here, one up, Begin End User Testing. We now have testing checklists by functional area. So we do have checklists for folks to reference and utilize in conjunction with testing Enterprise ERP. Now, we did just show you that the difference between .10 and .11 is very minor. However, if you wanted to come in and see what you would need to do for testing, for example, an AP clerk for accounts payable, this is a checklist for exactly what you would want to check in the system. So there are testing checklists by functional area here for your reference as needed. All right, next we're going to go out and we're going to highlight Tyler Search. Just close out some of these extra screens that opened up. So Kristen mentioned that we have the Tyler Search utility as well. Tyler Search is a great place to go look for help articles or process documents, or even troubleshoot a particular error or a challenge that you may be faced with. So if we come into the KB of the knowledge base, and I just want to do a quick search for Tyler Deploy as our first example. And you'll notice up here I did click on the KB, which is the knowledge base. So this is where we're going to find those KCS articles for knowledge-centered services. So coming down here, we do see a number of articles for Tyler Deploy. And we do sometimes have a master article that will link everything together. Oh, here we are. So I'd like to start with the master article as the top search, and this will show you. Open this in a new tab. All of the linked documents or articles that we saw throughout the results of that search should be linked here. So here, the master article of Tyler Deploy will show us the contents of all of those. Now, all of these articles are formatted with a description of issue, context, cause, and resolution, because this is a large article that has lots of things. It has the resolution being all of these different options. So under user management, how do I add a user to Tyler Deploy? How do I enable a user? How do I remove a user if someone should no longer have access to it? This is all listed here for your reference as needed. What time zone does Tyler Deploy use when scheduling? This question came up when I was in a user group meeting in Arizona last year. I didn't know the answer to the question. I searched it in this utility, and I found that the time zone defaults to the time zone of your workstation based on your browser settings when you schedule the update. So there's lots of tidbits and helpful handy articles listed within the master article for Tyler Deploy. So we just wanted to share that with everyone this morning. Next, I'm just going to type the word upgrade. And here we have instant results with how to self-upgrade Enterprise ERP Munis checklist, how to upgrade Enterprise ERP version without Tyler support. I'm going to check this top level result here. We'll open this up in a new tab. Yep. So this one has the order. So this is the article we would recommend anyone who is preparing to upgrade Enterprise ERP to come and reference this. You could put a bookmark for this if you'd like, or just go in and use your search capabilities within Tyler's search. So starting at the top, the description of issue, Enterprise ERP or Munis self-upgrade checklist via Tyler Deploy. Kristen did mention that because you are SaaS cloud hosted, you do not need to check off the check prerequisites box. And that we'll look at in Tyler Deploy is only in the manual self-upgrading area. If you schedule automatic updates, that's not there because the automatic patch is used for the service packs. So here it has a link to that resource, that lifecycle policy, so you can see the versions of Enterprise ERP that are available. Next, you want to verify which products will be upgraded into what version. Since everyone is on 2021.10 or higher, this is less important, but you can certainly click on here if anybody asks about compatibility or wants to confirm versioning. Backup, make sure everyone does a backup prior to applying that patch or upgrade. Specifically in the live or production environment, you do not need to update or back up non-production test or train environments since those are usually overwritten by virtue of a refresh. If you are working on a special project within one of those non-production environments, certainly err on the side of caution and do a backup if you don't want to lose what you've been working on. This is that area, the server check, that you do not need to do. For the on-premise clients that are still on self-hosted service, you'll see that they should, but there is a note here that's just for on-premises moving forward. So continuing along, there's information on the DIA, the Data Integrity Assistant. For folks that have troubleshot the DIA in the past, I will highlight this new article here. If anyone on today's webinar has been challenged with troubleshooting a DIA condition and ended up needing to go to support in the past, it would be meaningful for you. Now we do have information on some of the most common DIA errors or conditions that are listed here within the KB, or Knowledge-Centered Services. And this will be very helpful for you to get the fix that you're looking for that condition without having to put in a support article, or a support case, excuse me. So lots of different categories here with all DIA conditions, ranging from payroll, HR, down to some other areas within the system. So huge improvements from where we were a few years ago, with giving you the access to the information that you need to keep working in your systems with less delay or support problems or areas that you need help with. I do want to talk about the synchronizing, and we'll look at that once we do log into Tyler Deploy. Kristen mentioned that some folks may have your production environment synced to test. If you do, what that means is that when you upgrade production, it will only upgrade production to the same level that test was upgraded to. It's a bit of a safety net or a ceiling threshold, if you will, so that when you go to apply that live upgrade after testing has been completed, it basically prevents you from applying any updates to production at a higher versioning than you currently have in test for testing purposes. So this is all pretty self-explanatory. It's all linked to various support articles. As you can see, there are a lot of hyperlinks embedded within this KCS article. As we move down towards the bottom, here we do have that order of upgrades for the products that Kristen had mentioned. Update products in the following order. Please only initiate one product update at a time in the listed order below. So what does that really equate to? You are able to go into Tyler Deploy and launch many updates simultaneously, but we recommend that you do not. You should do one at a time when launching these in conjunction with upgrading these products for the environment that you're upgrading. Then we get down into the testing area. As we mentioned, there are those testing checklists for the system that we would recommend people utilizing from that Upgrade Resource Center within Tyler Community. Moving on over to Tyler Deploy, I have already logged in using my Tyler Community credentials. I entered my Google Authenticator code to get logged in. This is the home page now for Tyler Deploy when you get logged in. And on the left, we have a ribbon or a bar with some options. Because I'm a Tyler employee, I may have more options than you have listed over on the left-hand side. But I would like to start with the release notes area. So we had looked out on Tyler Community where we saw the major enhancements. So the release notes are listed here, as Kristen had highlighted in her presentation. And here you can pick the product that you'd like to see the release notes that you're going to be applying. So we'll select Munis ERP for this example. From here, we have that version 2021.12, which is the quarterly. And then we have the smaller numbers here at the tail end, which represent those bundles of MUNs. So if we click on the latest .174, we can see that, again, only the 174 contains all of these individual MUNs that you used to be able to install via the MIU years ago. So we do still have that reference point from our development teams for the hot fixes. However, installing them now is through Tyler Deploy, and these are all bundled into this one hot fix. The benefit of bundling these is they've all been fully tested prior to being released, which equates to you having more reliability when you apply these. You shouldn't have any issues moving forward when you apply one of these hot fixes. And then the description of each MUN is listed over here on the right-hand side. If you hadn't, these are cumulative, so if you haven't upgraded in a while and you want to see what's the difference between a range of MUNs, for example, you can pick a range from .158 to .174. And then you can expand these as needed to see what each one contains. If you would like to share the results or share these release notes, if you will, you can download these to an Excel format. and then you can share those with folks as needed. Kristen mentioned that everyone should have at least read-only access to these. That should be the case, but there is an area under administration where user management, folks that have the top level access in Tyler Deploy, can go in and provision an account, or they can check to make sure that someone has read-only access. So we can come in and just look at an example account here. Let's look at Kelsey in this demo environment. It's a pretty straightforward interface. Here we can see that the permissions are view, user administrator, or deploy configuration. We only have these 3 levels of access within Tyler Deploy. View, it gives you just that. It gives you access to view those release notes. You can also go in and view the logs to see if an update was successful or not. The user administrator gives you access to go into the system area that I'm in right now. And then the deploy/configuration level gives people the ability to apply those updates. Before we leave this area here we have this little button here, right here under access. So if there are any Tyler Deploy system administrators on today's webinar, if someone gets a new mobile device or breaks their phone, or they need to reset their multi-factor authentication for Tyler Deploy, an admin can come in and they can press this button to reset that 2-factor authentication right here for your users. And the next time they log in, they'll be presented with that QR code on the screen that you'll scan with your device, and your multi-factor authentication will be reset so that you can get logged in as needed. Okay, next let's come down to the lower area of deployment. Let's look at the overview section within Tyler Deploy. This will take a moment to refresh. So as Kristen had mentioned, 2 places to find that version of software that you're on. One is from Hub in the upper right-hand corner. You look at the About area. Alternatively, from within Tyler Deploy, under the Overview section, we have environments and releases. Across the top, we have Production, Train, and Test. On the left-hand column, vertically, we have all of the products. So here we have Munis ERP. Production in this demo environment is on 2021.9, and so forth across the screen. So next we'll come in and we'll look at, we're going to skip automatic updates and round back to that. So we'll go to product deployments here. Product deployments are where you can schedule and set up a one-time update to an environment, whether it be a quarterly release or one of those hot fixes or patches with the bundles of MUNs. We'll look at Munis ERP, and we'll select an environment. Let's look at the production environment. Wait for this to get refreshed. Okay, here you can see we have standard versus synchronized. So this is currently not synchronized to any other environments. So this would allow you to apply really any level of release software that you choose. If you did synchronize this is where you can do so to set that up. You can then synchronize this to that test or train environment. By doing so, as I said earlier, that will prevent your production environment from upgrading to a higher level than that test or train environment is currently on. So we're currently on the release channel. If we look at the 2021.9 area and choose the next release, this would be that hot fix or bundled patch of MUNs, if you will. So here, if we went with .1286, you click on it, and it will immediately show you everything that will be applied by virtue of those cumulative updates.
Trescott, I just wanted to point out so everybody was aware, this is where you would go if you needed to get one of those fixes applied for like a Kentucky program that we had out there and you haven't had your automatic updates running. So
correct.
Cumulative fix. So if you needed to get that patched quick, this is how you go in and do it versus an upgrade. Yep.
Exactly. So again, here we see the word release, and release is that patch or that hot fix with the MUNs. The channel is the quarterly update. So do keep that in mind, because when you go to the release lifecycle policy reference page on Tyler Tyler Community, you will see the release, because we call it the quarterly release. However, in here, the release is the last few numbers of that patch. The channel here is that quarterly release, or what we call that larger upgrade that we saw in the release notes earlier on. So here, if you'd like to apply this and everything is good, you followed all of your steps prior to arriving here, you could go ahead and start the update by pressing start. Or if you wanted to schedule this at a later date, you could toggle now or later over here. And this is where you can set a later date and time, and where you can set that time zone if need be. So when you would want to use this perhaps would be, I want to patch production at 2 o'clock in the morning, or whatever time you'd like to patch. That's when you would go ahead and hit the later, or set the later attribute. Okay, we'll go ahead and look at some automatic updates next. We do recommend enabling and turning on automatic updates. Again, these have all been fully tested prior to being released, so that is a recommended best practice. We'll come down and look at Enterprise ERP. Here's that production schedule. So we click on the pencil icon to see what that current schedule looks like. And this is set to run at Sunday at 9 a.m. And we're basically installing the latest. So the install type is install latest, so it's going to take the latest hot fix or bundle of MUNs to apply. Lastly, let's take a look at the overview. We had started here and we had seen the versions of software that we had talked about that you can also see within the hub. But if you scroll down on this page a little lower, you will find the history area. This is taking a bit to refresh. So here we have the history of applied updates within the system, and you can read log files if you're a system administrator. So here we have 3 different categories of results. We have failed. This means that the system ran its upfront prereq check, if you will. Everything passed, and it was deemed okay to move forward with this hub update for the train environment, and it failed for some reason. If you see a little black X next to this icon here, it's canceled. Why would an update be canceled? Because the system attempted to run it, and when it was running that upfront health check or prereq check, if you will, it found a discrepancy, and it actually stopped it before it started running. So that's a nice feature that will prevent you, or the system will prevent installing software that it believes it will not be successful. The green checkmark box is a successful update. If we look at this and come over, it tells you the date and the time this was applied and how long it took to update for the duration. So this can be helpful if you're comparing your test upgrade to your production upgrade. If someone says, how long did it take to update Tyler Content Manager? You could say, well, it was 16 minutes. So that's what I project. Just a quick look at these log files. This may be more than folks on this webinar are involved with, but if there are any system administrators on the webinar, here these are all color coded, so it shows you the current health check. So these are all the steps the system does prior to preparing to install this. And everything that's green is passed successfully. And we'll come on down and then we find red. The red area would be the setup failed. Our teams have access to these log files. Again, Kristen mentioned that when you go to apply these updates, if anything fails overnight, we do have folks that come in very early here on the East Coast up in Maine that check these log files and in other parts of the country. And so chances are you wouldn't need to come in and look at these log files to do any troubleshooting because it's already been done for you. But I just wanted to show you where these are located in case anyone was curious how our teams get that information. Or again, if someone on the line is the system admin and would like to learn more about these installs, this is where you can find the history. All right, we'll come back out to the home page. It looks like we've got about 4 minutes left with today's webinar. This is all the content I wanted to cover today. So I will go ahead and turn it back over to Kristen.
Thank you so much, Trescott. I really appreciate you helping.
You're welcome.
Showing all that. We don't have any questions in the chat yet. Can wrap this up. Trescott really, I'm going to share my screen here, did a great job talking about the releases and how those are applied. I pulled up our Tyler deploy version. I imagine most sites probably have what's similar, that lot less products available to them that you can see here on the screen. If you are upgrading your ERP system from .10 to .12, pretend this is your test environment. Even though I have prod selected, my test environment's already been upgraded. So to upgrade to the next version of ERP, you choose that channel drop down and choose it to .12, and it'll think for a moment. And then it will give you this notice, hey, choosing a release in this channel will result in an upgrade. And that's what you're attempting to do. You can choose a lower patch fix, but I'm going to choose the highest one. And then when I'm ready to start my upgrade, I hit start. If you're scheduling it for now or later, or for a later date, you'd still schedule it there like Trescott showed and hit schedule. The system will think for a minute or two. So let it think. Do not navigate away from that page until it's completed and your upgrade will be scheduled. So that is how you upgrade EERP. If there's any questions, drop them in the chat. You can email the team. It's in your control now on when you want to upgrade. Definitely don't wait to upgrade that test environment forever. Don't want to wait till next fall to jump multiple versions of Munis. We'll start reaching out to people if we notice that you haven't upgraded and you're getting very close to retirement of that version. That's really all I had to share. I'm sure people are anxious for lunch, or feel free to drop. I'm going to sit here on the webcast for a moment. If you wanted to actually chat about it, you can raise your hand and I can unmute your mic and we can have a conversation. Thanks everyone.
One question did just come in from Susan. This is a lot of information. Will there be a user guide put on KDE website? What is a little more user friendly?
So that's constant. Tyler deploy, I don't want to say is constantly changing, but technology is an ever evolving process. That's the tools that are on here that are referenced in the document are what we're pointing people to. That guide will be available on the SharePoint site, the Enterprise ERP SharePoint site. I'm not going to put that on the public KDE website. So when I send out the email, I'll have the link to the guide in there and to the, the web broadcast, the recording, it's on the KDE Media Portal. The slide deck will be a PDF, so you'll have access to all the links there.
Yeah, and in addition to that, the information on Tyler Community for the Upgrade Resource Center is current. If things need to change, they will be, but that should always be the master of record for those areas. The KCS article we highlighted with self-upgrading and all of the KCS articles around Tyler Deploy are the most recent documentation. So we do recommend always going to that master of record or source or location to access those. So you just make sure that you're accessing the latest, most accurate information as needed.
Better said than me, exactly. And that's why we want to link you to those articles, because if there is a change, it's going to be the latest and greatest information versus like a Word document that we have published. And of course, TSM SaaS support, if you're really uncomfortable with doing this, you can schedule your upgrade with TSM SaaS support, but give it a try in your test environment, see how it works. It's really easy to do these deployments.
Yeah, that's great. Exactly. So if you do put in a support case with TSM SaaS support, They're going to log into Tyler Deploy, into your environment, and they're going to go into that schedule, that one-time update at a later date and time that you specify, and hit schedule. So it's literally the exact same interface we just highlighted that our support teams are using, that now you can use too, saving you hopefully time, and you can get those updates applied faster. And we want to empower you to schedule those updates as needed.
Just hanging out here. If any more questions, or raise your hand if you'd like to speak. If not, feel free to drop off. Okay, well, I can see everybody dropping off here, so I think we'll go ahead and end this. Thanks, everyone. Have a good lunch, and if you have any questions, reach out to the Munis team, munis@education.ky.gov, and thanks, Truscott, for
You're welcome.
participating.
Thanks, everyone, and I hope to join on more future webcasts with everyone.
Thanks.